Well, I love that umbrella guy.
My wife and I love that umbrella guy. We love that umbrella guy.
So if you love that umbrella guy and little umbrella girl too, well, what should they do?
Hit that bell for notifications, subscribe, check out my comment. It's a case of the year's umbrella, and it's so awesome.
It's so awesome. Is that pretty good?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Man, why should they check it out again?
Because it's awesome.
Because it's awesome. More on that at the end of the video. Hey there, so today I want to return to that wonderful world of litigation, and over the last few days it has definitely been an interesting world. We are also returning to that wonderful world called Twitter, where we get asked the hard-hitting questions like, who's the consulate now, Todd? Who's the consulate now? Now I wonder, with this, are we actually supposed to answer? Do we get a multiple choice question? If we do, and we actually choose the wrong thing, what happens? Are we going to get a spanking? Are we actually going to get a mean tweet? Do we get blocked? Are we going to have everybody's favorite friend, Greg Doucette, come in and give us some terrible legal advice? Speaking of that guy, it's been really interesting to watch these folks over the last few days, because these folks, they went quiet on a specific subject. They stopped talking about Vic Mignogna. Why? Because, well, we saw lawsuits. We saw people potentially paying for what they had done. And let me say that when you're looking down the barrel of litigation, yeah, there's this little thing called fear that might actually inspire you. Now, this person, they brought up Vic, which I'll talk about in a minute, but they're also bringing up Todd Haberkorn. And it's interesting to watch, like I said, because they had moved on to greener pastures. Every now and then they would throw something out to attain that certain status, like they brought him up during all of the pro-Jared situation, but for the most part, you wouldn't see tweet after tweet until now. So what changed? Well, when you roll through, you'll start noticing certain shares from a certain person. You'll see Greg again here. And some of the hot takes he has, yeah. I mean, if you think about the idea of defamation and the way that he's spinning this to people, his hot takes, they're going to get somebody sued. So you see things like this. Again, insults are never defamatory, people. Never. In any state in the union. And also, there's wonderful hot takes like this. I could tweet, this person here is a serial R to the A to the P-I-S-T, and a rabid goat effer who's molested dozens of women and goats alike with no proof at all whatsoever. And the burden would remain on you to prove falsity if you decide to sue for defamation. Really? Now, can you imagine the world that they're painting here? Can you imagine lawyers telling people that that's the world that they're going to encounter when they actually go to court? I mean, we saw Jeffrey Rush. Now, that, again, is a different country, but we saw what it took there. Claims that a guy was a pervert. Claims that a guy was a predator. Yeah, $2 million there. But you see all of this stuff leading back to Pridemore, and you can see that this guy is apparently giving out legal advice here. Spent a lot of time talking to Greg Doucette today, and he said I can post the C&Ds. Isn't that interesting? Telling people to do something legally, spending a lot of time talking to them behind the scenes, getting involved in something that has F all to do with you, and again, giving legal advice, because that's the sound of it. Now, if you don't know anything about what this pertains to, well, again, the Vic Mignogna situation and Todd Haberkorn. This is posted on Bounding Into Comics, talking about Todd Haberkorn, where Jessie Pridemore went out and gave you a story. And the story was really fascinating. Why? Because, well, when you go through this, when you look at it, it leads in and basically starts out talking about how this person has a Vic Mignogna story. How do they have one? Well, they tell you that X amount of years ago, when they were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, they went in and they encountered a certain voice actor. Now, they say that this voice actor, he's connected to another person. So you can actually figure out who they are. Even though they say they didn't name him. They didn't name him, but you know how that stuff works out. So they call him an R to the A to the P-I-S-T. And they say that the word consulate gets around because of that. And well, because of that there, Vic Mignogna pulls their hair, not once but twice, and causes them to run off crying. Very fascinating stuff. Now, Pridemore apparently got a cease and desist for that. At least that's what she's calling it here. And she posts it in one of the hardest to read formats ever because, hey, might as well take a picture of something. Might as well, again, when you're doing that, make it almost unlegible because, well, if it's illegible, then, well, nobody's going to be able to see what kind of horrendous things you did. This is what they sent me, though, she says, to intimidate me and try to bully me into silence. So she's saying that the reason that someone would send you something after Todd Haberkorn actually went, sought legal advice, and thought about suing for defamation is because it's a move to intimidate. It's a move to bully. When this person, they're saying, oh man, that guy, he R to the A to the P-E'd me. And not only that, but after the fact, he dropped documents about me. But let's look at the rest of this, and we'll talk about that when it comes up. So aside from the horrendous grammar and inability to pick what they want me to do, there's so much BS here. So let's continue on. They want me to delete tweets stating Todd called himself out, which he did. I did not name him. I didn't tell people in private messages it was him, despite his delusions, like I would trust they weren't plants. They want me to delete a lot of facts, which aren't even disputed with Todd himself. Yeah, they told you, hey, if you don't want to get sued, you need to remove this, not only retract it, but you need to apologize. That's standard fare. They give you the chance to back away from these statements because, again, when you choose to back away from these statements, you're calling yourself out. But instead of doing that, yeah, you decided to leave them up. I never called for the boycott of SAC Anime, even after finding out they chose to invite Todd over me. So let's weigh this decision here. Even after they chose to pick a voice actor over a person that says that their best cosplay days are behind them. That's a very interesting statement, too. I even told my former roommate to accept a guest position she was offered. Oh, wow, that's so nice of you there. They were offered a position they might actually need, and you said, oh, yeah, why don't we grace them there? For a bunch of quote-unquote lawyers, they sure seemed confused on timelines. Also, who the F uses Lotus 123 anymore? What is this? The effing 80s? Oh man, you really served them up there. Oh, they're using outmoded machinery. They're using outmoded software. They don't check for typos. Their timelines are messed up. What they need to present, if you look at it all, is this idea that you went out and you decided to destroy someone's reputation. And Greg here, he couldn't seem to grasp the idea that that is not an insult. When you do damage to somebody, when you cost them jobs, when you make other people not want to work around them, yeah, that right there is actually intending to do something with malicious intent. Say it with me, malicious intent. Todd posted private messages which contained medical and debt information. His crony lawyers and friends of lawyers incite bullying and doxing. So they copy someone in here. You can see this with 191,000 followers. That, is at Popat talking about, hey, maybe I want you to get involved with this. Now, what's interesting about that is the fact that when they're saying Todd posted private messages, this is after somebody had accused him of a heinous crime. His response to that was, hey, if I did this terrible thing that you're saying, then why are you messaging calling me afterwards? Why are we carrying on like we're all buddy-buddy? Why are you telling me about your medical problems, your debt problems, and how you want to get with me? We're sitting around joking about this and that, and when you want commitment, you can see that also brought up too. Well, he dodges that question because he doesn't want to commit to this person. And really, why would he want to commit to this person? Because if you look at this, they've basically had a relation. She actually admits this. They had a relation at a convention. Afterwards, they continue to talk, but that's all it is. And this person is telling them about how they're in debt, how they have all of these medical problems. I mean, they're confiding, but when they're confiding need. And well, a lot of people, they see that like some kind of personal relationship kryptonite. But anyway, they call that incitement of doxing and bullying. Interestingly, too, today, these people have been talking about doxing people. They've talked about going after folks. And they've also been discussing this idea of doxing that they're throwing out there. Greg here was supposedly being called out for doxing, too, even though you see this here. Serious question, my friend. How does one get doxed when we are upfront about our names and contact info? Do people really think we are ashamed of who we are? Yeah, because that's why people actually utilize private accounts, because they're all terrified and ashamed of who they are. No, they actually decide to do that because people like yourself, you team up with other people that will burn people's lives down because, yeah, you don't get the blue check mark, because you have stuff that you won't walk lockstep with. And well, if you decide not to, that's your business. And these people, they admit that they're not being doxed there. But of course, you know, it's all about doxing. And to top it all off, they can't decide if they want me to delete everything or not delete everything. Oh, and the retraction is hilarious. Instead of using this as an opportunity to talk about alcohol and consent, it turns into this. Who's the consulate now, Todd? Who's the consulate now? So it should have been a conversation about alcohol and consent. Todd, he should have actually just rolled over and let his career die. Or as a Shane Holmberg said about a Vic Mignogna, Vic should have admitted wrongdoing and then let other people decide what exactly transpires from there. You know, because if you did something wrong, if you didn't do something wrong, it all leads to the same place. Other people, they can accuse you of anything and poof, just like that, you're actually in the crosshairs. But again, you know, these people, they actually figured out for a while that maybe this isn't the best message to send, that maybe they might actually be liable for it, until they started getting advice on Twitter. Legal advice that other legal sources have come out and said, yeah, that's not true. Not only Rekieta Law, not only Ty Beard, but other people have become involved in this as well, as we see this groundswell of people paying attention. And yeah, you're being told that, well, you might have done something that's messed up, and maybe, just maybe, you should stop. Now, that sounds like good information, right? It sounds like, hey, you should back off. But then again, they could have done this months ago. They should have done that months ago. And for a while, it looks like they did. But, well, you see what they're doing. You see what they've done over the last few hours. And that doesn't even count the replies to tweets or the likes or anything. No, it's all kicking back up. Kick Vic is kicking back into motion again. All of those players that you thought were finally learning something, they've all gotten involved. It has been an utter calamity. But anyhow, you tell me what you think about this stuff. So as I said at the beginning of the video, if you like this kind of content, make sure you check out the links in the description. You're under no obligation to do so, but if you want to help the channel out, PayPal, Patreon, and this, The Case of the Littlest Umbrella. Now this, it has 2 comic books attached to it with one message, and that one message is a very, very simple one. You cannot tell us exactly what we have to do because we're the ones that make endeavors possible. That's something all of these people forget. While they're going out and raging, driving people away from something in record numbers, while industries fail and people look for alternatives, they forget why that happens. That happens because they forget consumers. So of course, when you show up here, I appreciate that. When you make this endeavor possible, I appreciate it, and I want to say that. So closing here, I want to thank you. Like I said, I appreciate you, and we'll do this again soon.